if we go with the definition that a leader is simply someone who has followers, which I think is pretty lame or pretty basic, or it ignores the overarching notion of what the service of leaders is, then just because someone has followers, it doesn't mean that they are exemplifying or living the values, the morals, the standards of a leader.
Yeah.
They are simply pulling people along because of a particular message or narrative that those people who are in that situation need or want to hear. So whether it's feeding their anger, whether it's feeding their sense of uselessness, whether it's feeding their sense of loss of status or status, that is different than leading from within. So once you have made peace with or learned how to manage your own demons, your own human demons, the dark side, the shadow side that we all have, and have figured out how to step into the role of a leader, and as you're saying, with love, uniqueness, and co-creation, then you might have the opportunity to lead people by example. Thank you. I'm happy to be here too. I am. Thank you. It's all good. It's all good. I heard a friend of mine, or a fellow here in my neighborhood, I stopped by to say hello to him yesterday on the way to the market, and he was saying that he just heard something that he thought was really beautiful from a woman somewhere in the 1920s. And he said, "You're not expected to be in the storm and be angry about it. The way you live life is to dance in the storm, in the wind, in the rain." And I thought that was just so beautiful. And for a fellow to say that, he's an older gentleman, and his wife died several years ago. I think he's finally sorting it out. But it was just such a pleasant thing to hear. We're expected to learn how to dance in the rain. And here, there's plenty of rain. We could all be Gene Kelly and Arthur Murray. We could. So I just have to get my dancing shoes on.
Yes.
Yeah, dance like nobody's watching.
I remember many years ago. I remember it was pouring. We were living in Caracas, in Venezuela, and we were living in a street that went down. No, it was stiff, and started raining, and I was with my brother, my little brother, and we said, "Let's go out and just step out in the street, because the water was pouring down, so it came onto us, no?" And it was, I will never forget that day, never. And it was so many years ago, and it's always in my heart.
Yeah, it's these moments that we create in conjunction with, I have to believe we create in conjunction with. So I know we've talked before about the people might call it coincidence, serendipityness of people crossing our paths, but I think we were saying that it's more of a form of divine presence, a spiritual presence, when angels come across our path, and they can always be in disguise, wearing raincoats, or some guy trying to work in his front yard. And what it was he was trying to prop up the arm of a tree. And I said, "Hey, can I give you a hand with that?" And he said, "Yes." I mean, what guy do you know says, "Yeah, you can give me a hand with this," and from a girl. So I wasn't much use of it, but we got it halfway done. And just standing there and talking with him, is, here I am repeating it again. It's a story
Mm-hmm.
of connection. We're repeating
Mm-hmm.
these things. And so for
Mm-hmm.
you to have that memory all these years after, and something about that moment in time
Yes.
where you were dancing in the rain with your brother.
Yes. Yes. Just wet, but laughing and I was super happy. But I think
Mm,
those are the moments, no, because we can go back to many. Are the moments where we are in our hearts completely enjoying the moment, enjoying life, the moment, the moment, the now of that
yeah.
now, you know? And
Yeah.
the moments we are in our now, they just are engraved in us. They stay engraved in us.
Yeah.
No, they are in our hearts and they stay there forever.
I was I was thinking of you this morning. I stepped out. So I'm usually rolling out of bed about 4:30. Normally through the year it's 5, but now that the lights go on outside at 4:30, it's like, okay, just may as well get up. So that means that I could be having, coffee at 6. And for the first time in many weeks, we had this beautiful sunlit day and the skies are blue and you can smell
Oh,
the salt air of the bay, and the birds are out and the
yeah.
eagles are flying. Of course, the bunnies are running through the garden looking, to see what they can eat.
Yes.
And I was remembering my father, who always cautioned about easing into the day,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're the oldest of 7, there's always
Mm.
something to do, someplace to go, something to take care of. And that was something that he said all through my life until he passed, in 2015, just to be able to ease into the day. And I did that this morning. So I was on
Mm-hmm.
the porch with my coffee and just being with the blooming garden and the blue skies and the eagles flying and the birds singing. And I think that what he was trying to tell me, and and he's often in my life.
Mm-hmm.
When we go walking, he's on my right side. And so, a lot of times my mom's flitting around. She's a butterfly. So I'll often say, Dad, what do you think about this place? Do you like it? Is this a good walk? But I think what he was trying to say to me was the way we start our day often informs how we live our day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if we jump out of bed and run to something, open our devices, start listening to the news, we start our day in a sense of, or in a, yeah, in a sense of almost anxiety, like, zzz,
Yeah, yeah.
and that has nowhere else to go but to continue through the day. And so for me to finally get that lesson, I'm sure he's running around heaven with my mom and going, she got it. She got it.
Finally.
She's coachable. I knew she'd get it. But that idea that how I begin when I set my first foot on the earth in the morning will help me live well as I continue through the day.
Yes, yes. It's this centering ourselves in ourselves.
Oh, nice.
No, because
Very
it's
nice. Yeah.
it's really it happens to me when when I journal. If I journal, sometimes many times I just go swimming. Okay, I swim at 6 in the morning, and
Mm,
um and so swimming or journaling for me is the same thing because
mhm,
it's placing it's well being with myself
mhm,
in
mhm.
me. So when I swim, I'm not thinking of the day or yesterday or so. I'm really in the moment, breathing out, breathing in, and feeling how the water is passing and how I am um, my techniques and how I'm
Mhm.
um, each muscle is moving in the moment, no?
Mm.
And the journaling is the same, because the journaling
Mhm.
is, for me, is really feeling my heart and asking for advice in my heart, no? So and
Mm.
then I write something, what it
Mhm.
comes, no?
Mhm.
So it's really
Mhm.
placing myself in myself, which supports me the entire day. I'm centered.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if when I don't do that, or I don't take the time to be with myself, in myself, then I see during the day that my center moves, and I'm stressed, or I'm not in me.
Yeah.
And the day is completely different.
And the day goes by, and the next thing you know, we wake up and wonder, how did how did it get here?
Yes.
How did it get here? And so often I feel it more now
Mm-hmm.
in what we call this digital age than I have felt it prior to this. And in
Yeah.
part, I think it's because of the devices and the digitalness of everything, the
Mm-hmm.
disconnection of ourselves from ourselves,
Yeah.
the disconnection of ourselves from other human beings. And it's almost as if we could be going through life on autopilot. You're doing these things, okay, you get up and you have your coffee or you send kids off to school or whatever, and we're just moving through. And I recognize that not always, do we have the time to sit on a porch and drink our coffee and look at the
Mm-hmm.
garden or go for a swim or do whatever. I understand that it takes real intention and deliberateness to make a choice that says this is how it has to be, because if it's true, and it seems to be, that we get 4,000 weeks to live if we get to
Mm-hmm.
80, so
Mm-hmm.
it's just a matter of math. Well, what are we doing with the weeks that are left? What are we doing with that? How are we breathing in that? How are we participating in that, in that life? For me, it's still, for me, I'm still learning.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Me
that's the thing of it. I'm still learning to slow down, learning that it doesn't all have to be done, learning where my anxiety and my fear comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the gift in the fear?
Mm-hmm.
Well, is it poverty? Is it abandonment? Is it betrayal? Is it loneliness? What's up with that fear thing? What's going on? And how do you sit down with the fear? And if we can't look at it straight in the eye, maybe we can gradually look up and say, what's this about? What is this about? Have I really ever been in a terrible situation that hasn't eventually turned around? And they
Mm-hmm.
have.
Mm-hmm.
And they have.
Yes.
I think it's also our way of saying thank you to whomever it is that we get down on our, as my friend used to say, our prayer bones, whoever we get down on our prayer bones to, because there are innumerable ways, as Rumi says, to kneel and kiss the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, I think it's our way of saying thank you
Yes.
once again.
Yes.
Thank you once again. Hmm.
Yes. Yes. Forever. Thank you. Yeah. Beautiful. Yes.
I have a
Mm.
question. Where
Mm-hmm.
is it that you get to swim?
At the swimming pool, at the gym.
Mm, mhm.
Not the sea. The sea is a little bit far away for the mornings.
Mm, mhm. And here
And
it's a
ice cold.
little bit cold.
Yeah, for you, I say ice cold here, but you have to be.
No, I think our water is 40 degrees, about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that converts to
Yeah,
in Celsius.
I don't know
But
now. I forgot.
I did go out into it. We have the polar dip, on the
Yeah.
first day of January, and people
Cool.
run out. And I did that a year ago.
Wow.
I think the worst part is you're on the shore, you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting, you're waiting, and all these other people, you're waiting, you're waiting, your anxiety levels go like that. And then when you go in, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's not so bad.
Mm-hmm. I like it.
Now I want to get out.
Yeah. I remember I'd done it in South Africa, in Cape Town last year. It was
Oh,
January.
yeah.
And the first time, the first day, I dipped in. A friend of mine lives there. So the first day I dipped in, I went in and I couldn't breathe. I went all in, no? And I was in a shock. And I went out. Okay. The next day, I said I will stay longer. Okay. So I went in and I passed the 1 minute and then it started to be warm and I stayed 10 minutes.
Ooh,
And then I went out. Perfect. After that, I started to feel the cold afterwards because the cold, it goes out. And what the body was so warming up that it was comfortable for me, no? But getting out of the water,
yeah.
then it again it went into its normal, and then it was really really cold. But it was very nice experience. We did it. I was there 8 days, so we did 8 days, no? So, but beautiful, beautiful experience of how the
Mm-hmm.
body reacts, especially
Mm-hmm.
in how it reacts and how we are able to adapt.
Yeah.
No? Just
Yeah.
passing this moment, and then it's about adaptation. No?
It's it. Yeah. I was a pediatric nurse in my earlier years.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember something like you remember you and your brother in Venezuela playing in the rain. I still remember something that one of our instructors said. I mean, this is decades ago. And she said, medicine is just a distraction while time and nature heal the body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She went on to say that there are only so many interventions that nursing and medicine can do.
Mm-hmm.
By and large, it is time and nature that takes care of it. Now, whether medicine is a distraction or not, or just some modality that we employ because we have it. But I've always remembered that. I think because the notion that the body, as you're saying, is so adaptable,
Mm-hmm.
there are so many things that it can take care of.
Yes.
And working with children as I did as a pediatric nurse, you can really see that. You can really see how those bodies respond. And more importantly, how children. So I'm remembering this little boy, he might have been about 9 or 10, and his father had given him a kite
Mm-hmm.
for his birthday. And then the father was deployed on ship and said, we'll fly this kite when I come back. Well, kids being kids
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to wait. And instead of getting string for reasons unbeknownst to everybody, he got wire. And the wire hit an electrical wire.
Oh.
And he was shocked, all the way down in his arm. And he ended up having his arm amputated
Oh.
just below the elbow. And I can still see him because in the hospital bed, there was a bar, that you used to pull yourself up with. And I can still see him, hooking that little bit of his arm over. And he was out of the bed and he was helping other kids. And I saw this over and over and over again, the adaptability of children.
Yes.
It wasn't the same in adults so much,
Mm-hmm.
but in children, it showed up as, okay, now what do we do?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now how do we deal?
Yes.
I
Yes.
can still see him.
Mm.
And this has been decades.
Yeah. Yes. It's well, the not fearing, no, not. It's the in this case, no, for the children, it's they live in the now. in the now
Yeah.
moment also, no? And then in the now, it's okay, it's done. I adapt, I go, I continue. And while we as adults are already conditioned to think about what's going to happen tomorrow,
Hmm.
I now I don't have the same emotions. I don't, and in that you forget about what you are able to do now, and that you are alive, and that you can do many things, no? So it's really, again, coming back to the enjoyment of the moment, no? And then children enjoy the moments.
There's something else that you're reminding me of, and that is how easily we take things for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And Thich Nhat
Yes.
Hanh used to talk about brushing your teeth all the time because you need your teeth, and we forget about our teeth
Yeah.
until we've got a toothache.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone the other day, a woman who lost her ability to walk easily and spent a number of years, 6, 7 years, going from doctor to doctor to figure out what it was. And this came on pretty suddenly. And in the course of time, she had surgeries and hips replaced and whatnot. And now I think they've finally zeroed in on what it is that is causing the pain and the difficulty walking. And in the course of our conversation, I'm reminding myself how easy it is to stand up, to walk to wherever I need to go, to do that relatively pain free, as long as I'm taking care of myself and stretching
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. And that very idea that I can still do that, and knock wood, the independence that comes with that, the freedom, the
Mm-hmm.
being pain free. And we take this for granted. We just
Yeah.
get out of bed, we have teeth, we brush them. Okay, fine. We eat, we drink, we walk to wherever we're going to go. And we just do this until somebody comes into our world, and you go, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
I've just been zoning along here and blah, blah, blah. And so maybe those are some of the other lessons that come along with it, that what we have for this moment. And I didn't go into detail as to what had really gone on, but there was that story that one day I could walk and the next day I could not.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So here we are, brushing our
Yes.
teeth and being grateful that we can
I,
walk.
yes, and
Mhm.
it goes back also again to the anchoring ourselves in ourselves, no, in the ease, taking what your father was saying, no, the ease of the day,
The ease of the day. Yeah.
because it's being grateful,
Hmm.
as you also said, no, to be thankful again for what we
Hmm.
have, and that we are able to see and feel if we are in ourselves. It's when we are in ourselves, we are centered, and we ease through the day. We are thankful for it because we know every moment is every moment. Every moment can change, no? And um, and we are enjoying the moment and the surprises that it brings us. But we are also thankful for that and for the possibility we have during the day, every day.
I think what I hear you saying is an encouragement to be grateful come what may. Because as I was talking to my neighbor yesterday, he said, I could be hit by a bus tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't know. We don't. And the issue of, or the, how do I be grateful come what may? That's a really huge lesson.
Yes.
And where I want to go a little further, because I think what you're saying is, if we can anchor ourselves within ourselves and find the compassion and the empathy for ourselves and our craziness and our habits and the
Mm-hmm.
things that we're always trying to elevate and improve and polish, that as we do that, we grow our empathy and our compassion for others.
Yes.
And by sharing our stories with each other, we are elevating our common humanity, which to my view has gotten misremembered. I love that word.
Yes.
It's so much better than forgotten.
Yeah, yeah, it's
We've
very nice.
we've
Very-
misremembered how
very
to
nice.
be in communion with each other.
Yes.
We've misremembered the joy
Mm-hmm.
of someone listening to what we have to say. We've misremembered where we have come from,
Yes.
and that one of the ways of getting back there is is to listen the stories out of someone else.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How are you today? What's going on with you? What's up with that? What did you find today that was beautiful? Oh, I know. I want to share this one thing before my train of thought derails. Um, we know someone in common, Donna Cravata on LinkedIn, and she said that she taught her son, who is now an adult, that before you go to bed at night, you want to think of two things. What did you learn,
Mm-hmm.
and who did you help?
Wow.
And so I try to remember that as a way of undoing the misremembering of the connection part. You know, what did you learn and who did you help?
Yeah. Yes. That's very beautiful. And yes, and it's in the listening and being there for someone. Yes, just to be there, no, to let the person let it out and know that someone is listening and someone is there also for them. Yeah,
Mm,
and that's
mm-hmm,
helping someone
mm-hmm,
always, no?
mm-hmm.
And it's so nice.
Yep.
It's so nurturing. Mm.
I'm sure people are wondering what this big pause is for.
I love it. I love the silence because I'm feeling you. And people are used
Yeah.
to to listen and um every moment. You know, the pauses, they're not used to pauses, but the pauses are so beautifully, so full of energy, so embracing. I love them.
Mm.
I really love them because it's actually now I'm feeling a lot in the heart. It's actually when we pause, we are integrating what we just said or what we just heard, and we are again coming back to ourselves because we are here letting silence come in to then express again another flow, and there it's very nurturing. I love it.
Well, if we agree that what creates music
Mm-hmm.
is the space between the notes,
Mm-hmm.
then the music of the spoken word might also happen the same way. The pauses between, so that you've got the space. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I haven't been to a live concert in a while, like a live classical concert, but I do remember being in places where the music was so captivating. It was
Mm-hmm.
just there was the once the music stopped, whether it was a pianist or it was an orchestra, once the music stopped, it's almost like it hung in the air And everyone was just
Yes.
there with it. The applause didn't happen right away.
Yes.
There was this wave,
Yes. It's
and
like
then the applause
yes.
filled in that space. I was always so charmed by that,
It's so beautiful
just
because
that waiting.
it's this moment where you are filling yourself up with that energy.
Hmm.
It's like you're breathing it in and then you applause. You bring it out, but you
Yep.
have you. It's this moment that you and this silence where it just is coming in you.
And for that to happen collectively,
Mm-hmm.
with all the audience, with all the people that are there, they're all together. We are suspended in that
Yes.
moment.
Yes.
That to me was just always, you'd look around, and it would be the same thing. We're all just held up in the vibration
Yes. Yes.
of that.
Yes. And those moments you also never forget.
Nope. It's been a while since I put on a black
Yeah.
dress and sat in a really fancy place, but I do
Mhm.
remember what it was like
And the feeling you got with that,
and
yes.
the feeling I
Yes.
got. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love Diane how you talk, I love your tone and you also when you talk you have certain pause in the middle of the words and it's really beautiful to sit here with you and listen to you and
Thank
co-create with
you.
you.
I like that word, co-create.
Yes,
I
that's
do
so.
like that word. I I'm glad we're having this conversation and you are talking about voice because it seems to be a reach for some people to recognize that their voice deserves to be heard
Mhm.
in some capacity, heard, understood, listened to. And I think what we forget is that just like our fingerprint. Now they say that there are no two snowflakes alike.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine said years ago that there are no duplicates in nature, which I really like and I believe, especially when you look out, to a meadow or all the little pine needles, like there are
Yes.
no duplicates in nature. Okay, so if that's true, and I tend to believe that it is, then
Mhm.
of course no two snowflakes are going to be alike.
Mhm.
Okay. How that's possible, I don't know, when you look at all the snow that's out there. But okay, let's just take that on faith. Fingerprints are the same way.
Mhm.
No, no two fingerprints are alike. And just like that, no two voices are alike.
Yes.
And that's a hard one for me to wrap my head around. Although, now if you do a call into something, they'll use your voice as
Mm.
your ID. But the idea that each voice has its own tone, its own timbre, its own pacing, the fingerprint thing I can get. But it's a little harder to wrap my head around the idea that each voice is singular. There are no duplicates in our voices. And so, if there are no duplicates in our voices, then what we have to say can't have been said before because it hasn't been said in our voice with our words
Mhm.
in the spirit of who we are.
Mhm.
We can all be working on a similar thing. So I work in story, as many other people do. And sometimes I get discouraged because, you look at the other guy or gal and think they're doing so much better for whatever reason.
Mhm.
And then you have to pull back and say, well, okay. So maybe they've got this success going on right now or that success going on right now. I've had my own success too. But you pull all the way back to that place that says, the work that I'm doing and the work that anybody else is doing
Yes.
is being done in their own voice, with their own words, in their own spirit.
Yes.
And therefore, we're actually creating a symphony of voices
Mm-hmm.
with our work.
Yes. That's when I talk about uniqueness,
Mm-hmm.
because I talk about, well, for me, leadership is love, uniqueness, and co-creation. And the
Mm.
uniqueness is this: not there's no one in the world. Everyone is unique, so we are the same, but unique. We all have a unique gift.
Yeah.
So co-creation comes through this uniqueness, through this gift that we have. No, it's this giving and receiving. So it's through our uniqueness we are giving, and we receive through the uniqueness of the others. No, and it's this dance of giving and receiving in harmony. But uniqueness is what makes us grow in life, and what makes us really be the guru, our guru.
Mm-hmm.
And we can be the guru for someone else because we are unique. We have a gift for them, a message, something that we are um, providing to the rest of humanity. So many can for instance, in my case, let's say many can talk about leadership, but
Mm-hmm.
the way I see it, or the way I express it, the way
Mm-hmm.
I am it, will
Mm-hmm.
always be different as another person that is also talking about leadership. So I remember when I started with a social enterprise in 2012. At that time, I was afraid of, also because you pushed around, no, with the social entrepreneurship. But I was afraid to not be able to give something, no, to the world, because how could I? I didn't value myself at that time either. And I looked a lot into the supposedly competition, no, because you are told
Mm-hmm.
to look, what do you have
Mm-hmm.
different in the
Mm-hmm.
competition and other things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until one day I understood, no, I'm unique. So I always will be. I don't have to look around. It will be different anyhow, because when I let it go out through who I am, it's different. So there's no competition, and that's when I started to say there's no competition. There's only co-creation.
There you go. I'm curious, how do you help people recognize? How do you draw out their awareness or understanding of their uniqueness?
And what I do, for instance, at work with my team, I listen to them, and I feel their essence, their power, no, their potential. So when they're talking, it just comes to me. When they're talking, I just see the possibilities where they can explore and where they could fit, and I just try to show them the way, guide them towards there, so that they can um, experiment who they are,
Mm-hmm.
no, their uniqueness, and grow in that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really by feeling the connection with the heart and feeling their essence, and from there, always I wonder, many times, because I'm observing a lot, not many times, when I get the essence of someone and we are talking, there's always a way pointed out where I should guide them. There's something opening
Oh,
up, a way that opens up, that I say, why don't you try this? Because of this. So it opens up.
is that intuition, experience, education,
I think it's intuition.
gift? Where does that come from, do you think?
I think it's intuition, and a gift, if I
Mm-hmm.
can call it gift. I don't know. It's intuition for me. It comes through the heart. I feel it. It's a when I have this click. It's not in my mind the click. I feel it in the heart, and then I know it's true, and I can guide over there. I can say go here because I feel it. It's not that I have it here. And then it
Right.
comes here because I especially at work for them. When it's at work, it's because it's more logic, IT, and so on. So I'm able to
Mm-hmm.
guide them through their experiences and their knowledge and so. But I have
Mm-hmm.
this click of intuition, where to move, what should be their next step, what's good for them, for their growth, for themselves.
So the power of the click.
It's this yeah.
Yeah.
It's a feeling, no? It's a like a butterfly. It's a feeling in the heart
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
it's an expansion. That
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then I listen to that information.
What gets in the way of someone receiving that shared intuition insight of yours? Where might the hiccups or the resistances come
And
from because you're drawing out midwifing the uniqueness in the people in your team. So where are they still resistant if they are?
it's their mind, no, their fear. They're not believing in themselves.
Mm.
No, um, that's what might stop them. I don't tell them that, no, but and it's not everyone, but it's what might stop them. But in all this, there's always the relationship. No, you're building with anyone. You are co-creating. No, this is all co-creation. So this relationship is the trust. No,
Mm-hmm.
and even if there's fear, or or there's no value, if they trust, they do this, they take the step, and then they experiment the change, and that's beautiful to see.
And that's how it has to be. We
Yeah.
can tell a child from today until tomorrow, don't touch the stove because it's hot. And
Hmm.
that's what we want to do. I mean, we want to teach them and keep them safe. But until the child touches the stove and finds out that it's hot, then they won't know.
Yeah.
They won't know. And so
Yes.
there's that paradox, of teaching to keep them safe and yet being aware that at some point in time, they're going to do something that kind of goes against the teaching. And it's
Hmm.
that way all the way through life.
Yes.
And we,
Everything.
I didn't get kids, but I have six brothers and sisters, and some of those had children. Even so, watching the little ones grow up, of course, I was always told, Diane, you should know better. Like, I went to know better school or something, but be that as it may. You it is that balance. It must be incredibly scary for parents because you're teaching
Yes.
them and you're wanting them to be safe and look both ways before you cross the road and whatever else that has to be told, taught to a child so that they're safe. And at the same time, that awareness that they are going to try this, that, and the other thing themselves
Yes.
to see
Hmm.
if they've been steered in the right direction or just to see what it's like. And so here you've got your team members who are kind of in the same way. And the way that they're going to find out that you are a uniquely loving, co creating leader is by taking a step
Yes.
on what you've said and said, okay, let's see if she's got this accurately or not. How am I going to know?
Hmm.
If you don't know, if you don't go, you won't know.
No.
So there is that same parenting kind of metaphor, I think, that I hear in your work
Yes.
with your team.
Yes. And also in the community, no? At the end, I think that's leadership. But not because it's leadership. No, it's this everyone is a leader, no? If they listen to their uniqueness, if they are unique, if
Mm-hmm,
they are who they are.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I remember when I had the community, it was the same thing, no? And one thing is really to explain them something, but if you haven't experienced it, it's very difficult to break the mold, no?
Yeah.
So it's important in life, like you were saying, for me, it's exploration, experiencing, and if it fits with you, then you practice so that you grow in it. But you have to
Mm-hmm,
explore, you have to go beyond um, the line, the comfort. You have to
mm-hmm,
challenge
mm-hmm,
yourself a little bit, explore,
mm-hmm,
experience, and
mm-hmm.
then depending on that, you go that way or you just try another exploration, and then you
Yeah.
practice and practice. So it's really everywhere, no? For the children, for a team, for a community. Well, for and leadership is about that. It's also being the change you want to see, no?
Mm-hmm.
So to explain it to someone, first you have to embody it, and that also builds trust, so that they also do it because they already see it.
How do you see the future of leadership given this digital age, the massive changes that went on with COVID, now the world seemingly again upside down and backward? How do you see the future of leadership evolving?
Well, for me, is leadership is not the concept that we heard, no, that we hear always, that a leader is someone that has followers. For me, true leadership is the self leadership. So for me, it's everyone to be their own leader, their own guru. So if there's someone that is leading others, it's because first it's this person is leading him or herself, and then through that it guides the rest, because we are seeing the change, we are experimenting that. So for me, a world it's this vision of the world that is really um yeah, love, uniqueness, and co-creation. Leadership has to come from the inside out. It's not about following someone because this person is saying something. It's because this person is serving me through his or her service.
So that I understand you, there can be so-called leaders who have people following them. And if we go with the definition that a leader is simply someone who has followers, which I think is pretty lame or pretty
Mm-hmm.
basic, or it
Mm-hmm.
ignores the overarching notion of what the service of leaders is, then just because someone has followers, it doesn't mean that they are exemplifying or living the values, the morals, the standards
That they
of a
talk.
leader.
Yeah.
They are simply pulling people along because of a particular message
Yeah.
or narrative that those people who are in that situation need or want to hear. So
Mm-hmm.
whether it's feeding their anger, whether it's feeding their sense of uselessness, whether it's feeding their sense of loss of status, that is different than leading from within. So once you have once you have made peace with or learned how to manage your own demons, your own human demons, the dark side, the shadow side that we all have, and have figured out how to step into the role of a leader, and as you're saying, with love, uniqueness, and co-creation, then you might have the opportunity to lead people by example, and those people just aren't going to follow you. See, I'm building the plane as I'm flying it here. Those people are not going to follow you. Those people are going to come to an understanding of the leadership qualities within themselves. And so that in some way, they then will maybe only just lead themselves. That's okay. They might lead within their family, within their community, within their corporation. It doesn't matter. But that's the point that you're saying, is that this definition, and I totally agree with you, and I've heard it before, a leader is someone who has followers. Well, no, because look at the people around the world who have followers, and we don't need to name them, but we wouldn't call them leaders.
No, not at all.
Okay. Thank you for allowing me to sort that out.
You already had it within you.
well, still to be able to articulate it in the way in which you're sharing it with us helps enliven perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate it a lot. I love that.
Okay, good.
Yes, no.
Good.
I appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Anytime you want to sit on the front porch and look out at the garden and drink some hot coffee, I'll keep a podcast burning in the window for you. We will not go diving into the sea, I can tell you that.
Well, maybe we do a lunch more than 1
Yeah.
minute, but not that more. 1 minute,
No.
1 second.
We can walk along it. We don't have to
Yeah,
walk
no.
into it.
Yeah. And enjoy the view and the water and the feet and whatever, the sun.
Oh, it's beautiful right now. The orcas we have resident orcas, we have transient orcas. The resident orcas are coming through, and we have very rare white-sided dolphins that have been hanging out for a week or two.
Beautiful.
So,
that's magic.
Yeah. Yeah, it all is. There are no duplicates in nature. So no matter what we're looking at.
No. Thank you so much, Diane.
It's been a pleasure. It's been my pleasure, Jeannette. It's, always nourishing and heart-filling to share the mic with you.
Thank you. The same. And we will repeat. Like
I'll look forward to that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.